Good morning. This is Jeannie from Trendy Tree, and today we're going to make a scarecrow wreath. We're going to start out with supplies. All the supplies came from Trendy Tree, and we're doing our recording today from Carrie's new retail shop here in Pontotoc. So the retail shop doesn't have everything that we have on the website, but it has a lot of the seasonal decorations. So if you're ever local, we're in Pontotoc, Mississippi, please stop by. Now you can also place an order online, and then, you know, if you want to pick it up here at the shop, you can make arrangements to do that. Today we're going to make a scarecrow wreath, and we're going to use this metal round scarecrow face, and the number is MD0325. We're going to use a 21-inch frayed burlap mesh, and that number is XB970-15. It's 21 inches in length and 10 yards. And this is a poly jute mesh. It's a frayed mesh. It measures as a 10-inch, but this area right here is about 6 inches, and when you measure out to the frays, it's about 10 inches. It's a combination mesh, and the number is RP820294. We're going to use a 24-inch burlap pencil wreath, and that number is XX7504W4. And then I picked out 4 ribbons. Now these items are going to be in a supply kit. Some of the items will be on the website, but not all of them. We have a scarecrow hat, and Carrie's going to get it right now. This ribbon is a 2.5-inch royal blue and white check. It's RG0180025. This one is a rickrack style ribbon, and it is RG2028J8. This is a chicken wire ribbon. It's beige and white. It's made to look like chicken wire, and it's RGA1085CJ. And then my other 2.5-inch ribbon is a bold blue sunflower. It is RG0181325. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the poof technique, and then we're going to go around with some ruffles using the 10-inch mesh. I'm going to start on the outside ring of the burlap mesh of the burlap wreath, and our 24-inch wreaths measure 15 inches across the widest frame. But with the addition of mesh ribbon and other embellishments, you wind up with a wreath that measures 24 inches or greater. I'm going to use this mesh holder from Susie's Wreaths and Things. This was developed by Susie Brown, and she sells these on Etsy. It's configured to hold 21-inch mesh or even 2 rolls of 10-inch side by side, and it's got measurements on it. It's got a yardstick here on the front, and it has buckles where you can collapse it down and fold it up. So we're going to take our 21-inch mesh and put it on the wreath holder just to make it easier to handle. Okay, and then I'm going to slide it. I need it on my right side, so I'm going to put it on this other side. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to just leave it right there. When you can see it okay. I've got some ribbons and things in my way over here. Let me move those. I'm sorry. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just roll the mesh off, and we're going to start at about 3 or 4 inches from the end. And just grasp that, and I'm going to secure it in a twist. I'm just going to start on any twist. It doesn't matter where you start. And give that a couple of twists. I'm going to do my poofs about 13 inches. So I'm just going to, I have my first one attached. I'm going to measure my mesh at 13 inches. And you'll soon get to where you won't have to measure. You can just do this by guessing, not guessing, but estimating. So just measure, gather, and secure. and just keep working around that work wreath. So I'm going to work, I have got 3 poofs made, and you could always put your hands under there and, you know, ruffle that out. Of course, this is a frayed mesh, and it's got, we want the frays to show. So that's 2 poofs that I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and work all the way around the wreath on the outside. Okay, now I'm to my last poof, and you can see, of course, it's hard to see with all the mesh, excuse me, but this is where I started, and this is where I have ended so far. So I need to make 1 more poof. So I'm going to get my measurement, and I'm going to secure it. I'm going to open up that twist where I started. I'm going to open that up and lay that last poof down in that twist, and then re-secure it. Now you can make your poofs 12, 13, or 14 inches. I would make them any larger than 14. Okay, now once you've done that, okay, so that's what the wreath looks like after we've gone all the way around it on the outer ring. So now we're going to move to the inner ring. So I'm going to take the mesh, and I'm just going to pull it up snug, and I'm going to attach it to the closest twist on the inner ring. And that will be my starting point for the inner ring. So I'm just going to secure it, and then I'm going to continue to make the same size 13-inch poofs and work all the way around the inner ring the same way. Okay, so now I'm all the way back to where I started, and I'm going to do the same thing as we did on the outer ring. I'm going to get my measurement, and I'm going to open up the poof where I started and lay that last poof down and secure it. And then I'm going to end off my mesh. I'm just going to cut it loose from the roll, leave a tail of 3 or 4 inches. And I've got maybe a yard or 2 left on my roll. So then you can just kind of go back and fluff out your poofs if you need to make any adjustments. If you know, if some of them are too tight or not quite the right size, you can work on them a little bit. I'm just going to kind of fluff those out and get those frayed edges out. And then the next thing I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm going to take my 10-inch mesh. Of course, it's about 6 inches across the very center, and measure from end to end, it'll be about 10. I'm going to put it on my cutter, on my board, on my mesh holder, and I'm going to measure, I'm going to cut pieces about 20 inches. Where you can see it, a rotary stick cutter, and let's see. And I'm going to measure 20 inches. And the way I came to 20 inches was there's 18 twists on a wreath, on the wreath that I have, and there are 360 inches on a 10-yard roll. So I should be able to cut 18 pieces that are 20 inches in length. So I'm just going to cut 18 pieces. This is a self-healing cutting mat, and I can give you a link to that. We sell those on the website, and we have a stick cutter. It's not exactly like this one, but it works the same way. I love the mesh holder from Susie's Wreaths and Things. I'll give you a link for that also. But I'll finish cutting these, and I'll come back when I have them finished. Okay, now my last piece of mesh came out a little less than 20 inches, but it won't matter, it will never show. I'm just going to lay that down and scrunch up through the center, make a ruffle. Just looks like that. And then I'm going to just start on a twist on the outside. I'm not going to open that twist back up. I'm just going to lay that ruffle down and secure the ruffle right on top of the poof with 3 or 4 turns. And then I'm just going to continue making ruffles and work all the way around the wreath. I'll just do one more, and I won't make you sit here and watch me do all this. We'll move around to the next twist, and once I get the outer ring done, I'll just move up to the inner ring, and we'll just have a little extra texture added to the wreath. It's got a little bit of white, and it's got more of the frayed edge, so we just have, you know, just a little more shagginess to it. I'll keep working all the way around. Well, you know how when you start something and then you change your mind midstream? I was thinking instead of making the ruffle that I might just fold that mesh in the middle. I think the white would show up more if I did it that way, and it won't matter if I have frays on the edges because I've got the frayed ruffles anyway. But let's try that and see if that doesn't show up a little better and not be quite as compact as making a ruffle with that 20-inch. See, it does show up a little bit bigger that way. So let me take this first one out. I'm glad I decided to try it before I got all the way around it. But let's just try that and see if that doesn't, see if we don't like that look a little. It's just a little something different. Makes the white show up a little more. So I'm just taking the piece, folding it, and then just kind of gathering that up. It's just still kind of like a ruffle, but it's just a little bit looser. A little more shabby chic. You could do it either way, but I'm going to continue working around like that, and that will look, you know, it'll just show the white up a little bit more. Okay, so there's a wreath after we added in the extra, the 10-inch on top for the frays. Okay, you see that better? See, it's getting bigger. The next thing we're going to do is attach the scarecrow face. Now it already comes with 2 little holes in it, and you can put it on your wreath. You can center it, which is probably the easiest way. I'm trying to get where you can see it all. But when you attach it, you don't want to push it way down in the mesh. You kind of want it to kind of rest on top of the mesh, but of course you want it secure enough that you know, it's not slipping and sliding or, you know, looking too loose. So we're going to use just this is just a burlap type wire, and we're just going to thread that through there, and we're going to secure it to the work wreath frame. So I'm just going to attach my wire first. And of course you could use chenille stems or floral wire. And this is the little hat I was telling you about, the little felt hat. Now it has wires on it to secure, but I went ahead and, well, the first thing you want to do is kind of find your placement of your face and your hat, you know, before you start securing things down real snug. So like, you could go over to the side if you wanted to. I'm just going to go to the center and kind of perch the hat, you know, kind of on the side, but I'm going to attach the face first. So I'm going to need to know where the center of my wreath is, where it's going to hang. So I'm just going to flip it over, and of course you'll have to push your poofs back out to the front to kind of open up that center. And then I'm going to make a wreath hanger, and I'm just going to use this wire. You can use zip ties or chenille stems, but I'm just going to take this wire and double it a couple of times. These are old scissors, y'all. I wouldn't do that with my good scissors. Just to make a hanger. So you can just twist that together. And I like to put my hanger to where one of these straight posts are, like that. And that way it won't slip and slide. Just kind of reinforce that wire. Any way you want to do that, there's lots of different ways to do that. But just so when we hang our wreath up to get the placement of our place, then we know we'll have it straight. Excuse me, burlap is making me cough. Okay, so now we've got a hanger for our wreath. See that right there? It's hard to see up against that burlap. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to position our face, and I'm just going to kind of work my fingers through from the back to get a hold of my wire. Flip it back over. And I'm going to wire it to the work wreath frame, this outer edge. I'm not going to do it real tight yet till I know that I'm satisfied with where I'm putting it, because it's a pain to have to reposition. And then I'm just going to go down to that bottom. And work my fingers through those poofs. And I'll flip it over and get a look at it. And secure it to the work wreath frame. Okay, so there's our scarecrow wreath after we've attached the hat. And if you need to attach the hat for, you know, in a place where you don't have a wire, just use a little 4-wire, something like that, and just run it through the felt on the back. Now the next thing we're going to do, I think we're going to use our ribbons and make a bow, a couple of bows to go on this side. Okay, I'm going to make a wreath bow. I'm going to make about a 12-inch wreath bow, and then I'm going to make a couple of smaller ones to go on each side. So I'm just going to start out with this 2.5-inch check, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut the end of that ribbon and kind of dovetail that. I'm using an easy bow maker, and this is something that we have on Trendy Tree. And I'm going to start out with tails of about 20 inches. Of course, the easy bow maker has markings on it, so I'm going to start with about a 20-inch tail, and I can shorten them later if I need to, but I'm going to use that spool holder. So that's going to be my 20-inch tail, and I'm going to pinch that up and gather it, and then I'm going to twist it. I'm going to drop it right down in between the pegs, pull that tail down toward me, and then I'm going to make about a 6-inch loop. So I'll get my measurement, pinch my ribbon, and then I'm going to twist it, drop it down in there, and then I'm going to make a 6-inch loop on the opposite side. Each time, this ribbon has a right and a wrong side, so each time I'm going to need to twist to get the right side up. So on this first layer, I'm going to do 4 loops, all 6 inches. And of course you can twist before you drop it down in between the pegs or after, it doesn't matter. Whichever's most convenient for you. And then on that last loop, I'm not gonna twist it because that's gonna be my other tail hanging down. So I'm gonna come down. Of course you can't see it in the camera there. But I'm gonna come down and cut those tails the same length. And like I say, I can always shorten them later if I need to. So now I'm going to take one of my 1.5-inch ribbons. I think I'll use the beige, and on my 1.5-inch ribbons, I usually just angle the tips, and I don't really put the dovetail on them, but I'm going to do the same size tails, a 20-inch tail. I'm building my bow from the bottom up. I'm going to make a 6-inch loop. And on this bow, I'm just going to make 1 loop on each side with the beige. I'm just going to change it up a little bit and cut that tail off. And I think for me, I love this ribbon the best because it's got the dark blue and the yellow sunflowers, and it just really stands out. So I'm going to dovetail that end. About ready for some scissors. Make a 20-inch tail. And it doesn't matter if my tails are not all exactly the same. But I do want to keep these loops the same. Now I'm going to make some smaller loops in a minute, but right now I'm still making 6-inch loops. And that ribbon, I'm just going to go with just 2 loops, a loop on each side. And then my last ribbon is this orange rickrack, orange yellow rickrack, and that's kind of it may have a little red in it. That may be. Make the same size tail. These loops are going to be a little bit smaller. I'm going to make them about 5.5. And I'm just going to do 1 loop on each side. This is going to be a pretty bulky pretty bulky bow, so and now I'm going to take my zip tie. I have a piece of floral wire and a zip tie. I'm going to push that stack down. I want that stack as concise as it can be. And I'm going to ease it up off the board. I'm going to hold it all together. See, it's all stacked up. I'm going to slide my zip tie over the top of the stack and bring it around to the bottom and start to secure it from the back or from the bottom. But I'm going to start the zip tie, but I'm not going to pull it all the way. I'm just going to get it started. And before I finish it completely, I'm going to take my floral wire and slide under the zip tie, because that's what I'm going to use to attach it to the wreath. So now I can pull my zip tie tight. Cut that off the wire cutters. And then I can fluff out my bow. So I've got my wire that I can use to tie it on with, and I'm just going to fluff those loops out. Okay. And then I've got my bow ready to attach to my wreath. And then I'm going to make just a, well, I'm going to put that bow and see how it looks. So this is my plan, is to kind of put this bow kind of off to the side here. But I think I want to put two smaller bows right beside it, a small bow on each side. Okay, so this is going to be a smaller bow, and I'm just going to do a couple of loops. So I'm going to start with the blue. And this is going to be a 5-inch bow, and I'll still do the same length of tails till I decide how long my tails need to be. So I'm still going to stick with the 20 inches right now. Drop that down in there, but I'm going to make a 5-inch loop. And I'm just going to do one loop on each side. And end that off. The beige, do the same thing. 20-inch tail. Five-inch loop. One on each side. Twist, get your right side of your ribbon up. And then we're going to end that off. The daisy or the sunflower ribbon. I'm just doing one loop with each ribbon because I want these bows smaller, and they're 5-inch loops versus the other one was 6 inches. Just going to be a little smaller. Of course, you could do ribbon strips with your ribbon too. You don't have to just do bows. You could do any way that you want. You could make ribbon clusters with all 4 ribbons, or do loops and tails. Lots of different ways to do your ribbon. You can make 3 big bows, or 4 good sized bows. All these ribbons have 10 yards on the roll. Okay. All right, let me get a zip tie. And a piece of wire. I'm going to ease that ribbon bow right off the board, keep it stacked. Take my zip tie, go over the top, bring it around to the bottom, and get the zip tie started. And then slide my 4 wire under the zip tie. And then pull the zip tie tight. Snip off that end with wire cutters. And then I'm ready to fluff out my bow. And one thing that I still need to do that I failed to show you on the other bow was I want to cover up my mechanics where my zip tie shows. So I'm going to take on this one, I'm just going to take a short piece of the ribbon and I'm going to fold it. And I'm going to go right over that zip tie and bring that around to the back and just tie that in a knot just to cover up those mechanics, just to cover up that zip tie. I don't want that zip tie to show. So I'm just going to tie that in a knot. And snip that off. Okay, so now I've got a prettier center. Okay, and there's my wires in the back to secure my bow. Okay, so I'm going to make out. Oh, I need to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cover up that zip tie on the first bow, and then I'm going to come back and make another small bow. And we're going to put 3 bows on the wreath. Okay, well, after I went ahead and made an extra bow, I decided to put the bow on the wreath before I made another bow, and I decided I'm just going to do the 1 bow. So I've got an extra bow made that I can use, you know, to coordinate, you know, something else, you know, with this wreath. And I've got ribbon left over. You could always add in ribbon strips if you wanted to do that, or you could just use a single bow. So it measures about 26 or 27 inches finished, and that's it. All the supplies came from Trendy Tree, and these particular supplies will be in a kit. And you'll find, you know, other styles of mesh, but you can follow these instructions to use, you know, any kind of other face or hats, and you know, the technique, the poof and the ruffles and whatnot. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Okay, there's our scarecrow after we finished it, and I decided, like I say, just to put the 1 bow on this one, but you could add extra bows or you could do ribbon strips, and I'll show you a version of the wreath that I did doing ribbon strips.